your heart, yeah, I don't want your heart. I just want your heart, 'cause I want you.
Welcome to First Kill. I'm Will.
I'm Kristen.
This is season 1, episode 8.
First Betrayal. I don't remember the last time I've been as annoyed by the majority of a finale as I was
Really?
this time. Yeah.
I would still watch. If there was a season 2, I would absolutely watch it.
For sure.
I hated so much of it.
Yeah.
But there were elements that I was like, okay.
The part that I am the most annoyed with is all of the stuff with the Burns family. I mean, I'm annoyed. It
was the Burns show.
It was this episode. And like I said while we were watching it, that was a lot of finale real estate to tie up in the two brothers fighting on the front lawn.
Uh-huh.
So, but the thing for me that annoys me so much is that it's so binary and black and white, where it's like, maybe the fact that now your son has turned into a vampire would be a good moment to evaluate what's going on. They just are immediately. It's not absolutely, and it's the thing that I said that annoys me. It's like the part of Buffy I hate the most. The like black and white morality, where it's like you have been fed a line from this guild your whole life about how once they're turned, they're not the same person anymore. And I'm like, I don't buy it. I just straight up don't buy. I don't buy it on Buffy. I don't buy it on this.
There's not really a name for it. I guess I suppose I could try and coin it, but it's the thing that I complain about a lot, where it's like frustrating as an audience member when we have information the characters don't.
Because he is demonstrably the same person, but he is hungry because he has just been turned.
So I'm actually gonna defend the show.
Okay.
And I'm gonna compare it to a lot of other shows, but we likened it to the Vampire Diaries earlier on, and what we said, it was comparing it to The Ring, about how in the first season they make this big to-do about getting a ring that's really difficult,
right.
yada yada. By like the end of the season or legacies or whatever, they're party favors.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they're sticking so rigidly to the premise helps sort of sell it, because if it were so easy for these hunters, and presumably high up accomplished hunters, to have the moral question, the turn, whatever, I feel like it's too hard for me to be like, well, how hasn't this happened already hundreds of years prior?
Sure.
Like, how is this not?
Like, how is this the first time?
Yeah. And so I think the fact that they are sticking so rigidly to it is sort of helping me buy into the conceit in the first place.
To their code or to the Romeo and Juliet?
The code.
Okay.
And also to the point, based on what we're seeing, Juliet, the character, is a bit of an anomaly. It does seem like the vampires are all kind of like shady shysters, like up to and including, I mean, Margot and Sebastian
feel the least shady to me at this point, because it's like Eleanor is a psychopath.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not that I feel betrayed by that plot point.
No, I saw it coming.
I saw it coming, but I didn't necessarily. I wanted her to be grayer than it feels like we've landed on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I wanted her to have done questionable things or be willing or capable of doing questionable things, but I didn't want her to be a hard villain, which is kind of where we are. And the same with Oliver. It's like, I can't trust him. I can't really trust anybody. Yeah. So it's sort of...
Also, I am really against this, whatever is happening with Carmen. She is not a character.
She's not a character.
She is just there to stand next to him. I am not into that at all. It's weird.
It's the type of thing that I believe if there were to be a season 2, we would get.
Yeah.
It was sort of laying groundwork there.
She was like cooking dinner in the last episode when he was on the phone with Juliet.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think maybe they're laying groundwork for things to come with her. Okay. I would hope. I mean, there's enough women on this show and women of color that it's fine to have one that's just sort of a non-entity.
So far. But it struck me in both episodes. Also, I think we and the show are maybe getting a little too convinced there's going to be a season 2. I'm not convinced at all.
I'm not either, but I'm not even remotely invested. Or
if this never gets to season 2, I won't be mad.
Sure, I'll forget. But I don't buy into Oliver and Carmen's relationship. As far as I'm concerned, Oliver is single and gay.
Sure.
like it's
for
pretty.
his dad.
Back to my point, it's like the show is based on the evidence they've given us. A lot of this stuff did check.
Mhm.
It's just not meshing with what we want or the potential that we see.
Right.
Because like I was weirdly invested in Theo in this episode, considering that I wasn't the majority of the season.
I think it's because there was it was like no evidence presented, no trial. His father, because Talia is not his birth mother, and his father was like, time to die. And that to me is just sort of like, well, he seemed to have no problems.
I liked those scenes though. I thought that Auden Wise was doing major heavy lifting through this entire episode.
But that's to your point, I think that is why we were like feeling sympathy for Theo, a character who we previously were like, cool, it's great, he's dead. There was like nothing there, is because
of our goodwill for
his father specifically was like,
you gotta go.
Absolutely not. And I'm just sort of like, you don't want to take, and it still managed to take all day.
Again, we're familiar with that. To another comparison, the Teen Wolf comparison.
Mm-hmm.
This plot is in season 2 of Teen Wolf with Victoria Argent.
Yeah.
I disagree with it there. I don't think that they needed to kill her the way that they did. However, it's handled better.
Yeah. But that was also, that narratively made sense for that character. If Theo had done the same thing as Victoria Argent, to me,
well, she had agency in a way that he didn't. And this is, I think, a little bit more to your point. Okay, where I'm flustered or where I'm confused is I'm reckoning with what I thought we were, where I thought we were going, and what I thought we were going to get versus what we actually did get. Mm-hmm. There's merit and faults with both. I think much of the internal logic was there and checked. The way it confirms information is bass-ackwards.
Okay.
I feel like versus an ABC, the show goes BCA. It gives us something and we're like, what? And then they explain it or they set it up last.
Well, sure.
And I'm like, okay. And sometimes that works, but I think the show does it too frequently.
Well, because we got it at least twice in this episode. Once with that like weird assortment of images we saw with Oliver last week. We got the explanation for that. And then
or the context even.
Or the context. And then also with Juliet having been the one who turned Theo, we got it so far after that we were genuinely confused. We were like, so Eleanor must have done it, must have turned him. And then it's just like, nope.
But even that, Eleanor must have done it, that was well into the scene because we just assumed it was a shape-shifting monster that they set up that didn't check off shape-shifting monster.
From episode 1.
And he was being like, there was things he didn't know. So he
called her Callie.
And she's like, you've never called me that before. Yeah. And it's like, that reveal didn't match that setup.
Exactly, 100%.
And so then we're like, oh, okay, well then Eleanor did it. And then the show even leads us to believe Eleanor did it.
Yeah.
But then it's like, then shows us Juliet doing it. And
the other thing too was that Talia and Jack have this whole showdown in the basement where she's like, you will not kill my son, or like, you'll do it over my dead body.
I hated when he was like, he's not your son. That was awful and gross.
It was super awful and gross. And because in that instance, it wasn't even like he was saying to Cal, where he was like, it's not your brother anymore. He just was like, he's my child,
son. It's not yours. It was really gross.
Super weird. She's raised this boy since he was 7. Regardless, not even that. But they have this whole scene where they're back and forth and she's like, over my dead body. We cut away and do something else. And then when we cut back to them, they are silently in the same room. She's drinking wine and then she hauls off and throws the wine glass across the room and says, stay away from my son, and then stomps away. Such weird framing. It was a cool scene, but
it worked for me.
Weird.
The performance worked for me.
Me too.
The
100%.
presentation and the presentation of that scene didn't work.
And the placement of it in the episode.
Yeah, I don't think we should have cut away and cut back to that moment because that felt very authentic, and that felt like Auden was like, oh, I'm going to give you something really good.
Sure.
It's like,
but to that point, it made me feel like the moment, I don't remember what show, maybe it's The Simpsons, when Marge is like in the car with someone and they're having a conversation and then once they like get to the place, he starts talking and she goes, oh God, thank God.
She's like, I'm just happy you're speaking again. You were quiet for an hour and 20 minutes.
That's what it felt like to me. Like what you were saying earlier in the series, where it's like they power down when the camera isn't on them.
Again, I found that authentic was when you're fighting so passionately with someone and you sort of exhaust yourself and you get lost in a moment of like of darkness, and then you sort of like re-energize. Like again, I found the acting choice authentic. I didn't find the editing or the presentation. Of it.
I'll say this as well. I have seen a similar thing done to great effect on the show Gilmore Girls in a late season episode, which is unusual because it got real dicey at the end. It's called They Shoot Gilmores, Don't They? And it's very fun. Oh, it's maybe not called that. Regardless, the whole family is having a fight at dinner, and then interspersed are just these moments where they have fought so long that they're just like then eating dessert. And then they go back to screaming. It's very funny. And the edits are good. And like, if this was doing something like that, I would have liked it
because it
better.
broke the tension, and then it was just confusing. Because also she left. Like I thought she walked out the door. I thought she left. So maybe there's a deleted scene.
I don't know, because you're right. She was not trying to break it up in the fight on the
And so that's
lawn.
where I think you were at peak frustration, is because it's one thing for them to have a code and follow the code.
Yeah.
It's another thing for them to be stupid. And so there's a scene where the two brothers are fighting in the front yard for a very long time. And also, as Serenity pointed out, the fight scenes in this are not very...
choreography is not it.
Well, I think he's right. I don't think they're stunt doubles. So the actors are just like giving it their all. It's clear that he's been made vampire. Juliet's sort of explaining it, and she's like, I can help him. And Jack is like, how? You're a monster. And it's like, you're being, that logic doesn't check, because
you're being deliberately obtuse about the knowledge she has about the type of monster he is. And she literally is like, everything is too loud and he's hungry.
I'm explaining to you what is happening. And he's like, all you do is lie. And it's like, that's not. And furthermore, it's not even necessarily my issue that they feel like they have to kill him. It's the way in which all we're doing is comparing this to other better pop culture things. But I was going to say, it was the thing from Hunger Games that the Mockingjay was borderline funny, like farcical to me, because of all the, like, Katniss is too ready to kill Peeta to spare him the pain. And it's like,
he's like, really, I'm fine. Like
I said, I was like, she's prepared to kill him to save him the pain of a paper cut. And it's like, if they get to that point, fine, but there was sort of no conversation whatsoever. And especially given the shaky truce that they have with this family, for all the legacies know, or for all they know, for all the hunters know, the legacies know a way to reverse it. We don't, like, they're throwing MacGuffins, like magical things left and right on this show.
Oliver has claimed he knows how to turn people human. So I don't know. It's a lot. And then also, once Cal finds out that Juliet turned her brother, it's very, I don't ever want to look at you again.
I mean,
energy.
It checked a certain, like, by a certain logic, it checked. Emotionally, it was very
hollow to me.
It was very frustrating. And also, I mean, again, I know that this is a finale, and a lot of times you're going to get cliffhangers, but it ended with them presumably going to each other. We don't know. They were going wherever it was.
I'm not sure.
I guess we had finished with the Eleanor plot. I hate it. I hate it. I to the point where if they just pretended it didn't happen, I'd be like, great.
Yeah, same.
Well, also because they're like, Oliver's like, and even the one of the officers or people, authorities, was like, you're going to enjoy rotting away in here. I was like, well, good luck, because she's not going to.
No.
They've established that they can live for several thousand years, so she'll be put out for a little bit of time.
And she also,
until inevitably somebody jailbreaks her.
She can also glamour everybody.
They don't know that, but yeah.
Yeah, but we know that. And I don't know. And like then Margot and Sebastian were just like, the kids are all out of the house. Yeah, time to make whoopee.
It was a very, very strange place, both the episode in which it happened and the placement in the episode in which they had sexy time.
Is this like, are they finally reconnecting after his illness or something?
Well, there was a line about how he was still molting, but apparently it, like, That doesn't get your motor running. And she was like, vavoom. It was comical. Like,
Elizabeth Mitchell.
she practically had a cigarette on like,
Yeah, like
I'm not bad, you know.
it was like a very like lacy, fun, like sexy robe, and then like bam, bustier.
And she was very blasé because I commented on it while we were watching it, but she was like, he was worried, and she's like, we've got 6 months to figure that out. And then they get a summons, and she's like, what are we gonna do? And
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, yes, I understand you have less time, but was her initial plan, like I said, to just like do fuck all for 6.25 months and then freak out?
I mean, I think the idea was to do fuck all for that night, except for bang her husband, and then maybe address it in the morning. But
because they got summoned, there's
like a vote of no confidence against
In
Davina,
Davina.
yeah, who is gone because Sebastian ate her.
which this is the last thing we need, but I'm sort of like, so is she inside of
Oh, like a big bad wolf situation?
or has she already been passed?
Ew.
Like, I don't, because it came up in their sexy talk. And I was sort of like, it would take me out. I would,
can't wait till you pass my mother. So then it's like,
but or it's like, is she in the snake inside him? Because then that goes to like pocket dimensions. I wouldn't put it past the
Sure.
show for her to just regurgitate fully formed and be like, now that I'm out of that prison.
interesting. At some point, also, do we have to get the snake out of him? Do we have to find a reasonable facsimile of the snake in order to keep passing down?
Again, I
This
don't
legacy
think
vampire
Margot's
thing?
concerned enough.
No, I don't think so either.
I mean, 6 months, sure, yeah, it'll buy you some time, but I don't know.
It was also an extremely bizarre finale.
The very bizarre finale,
in my opinion.
because it did not feel like the culmination of the show, the series, like
Yeah.
the show we had been. Like, it feels like a weird episode that heightens stakes,
Yeah.
but it doesn't feel like a finale.
Also, there was no Ben or Bunny,
No.
and Oliver is collecting monsters. They are just legit in his backyard.
Well, so he's the one doing this, though.
He must be bringing them
He
back
said,
to
he
Savannah.
said,
Yeah.
he quite literally was like, this is my plan.
Yeah.
To which I then.
And now they have Theo, which I was like, I feel like you should have eased him into the like betraying the world he grew up in crusade.
because they stick to that code if we know one thing.
Yeah.
But it just sort of, I don't understand Oliver's, what is he trying to accomplish?
Well, I don't know,
Because
because this
he's-
also makes him equally as psychopath as Eleanor.
He's selling himself like he's a villain and
Victim.
or a victim rather, and because the flashback with the turtle was, I guess, that Eleanor's the quote, well, the literal psychopath, and she's just been like murdering people willy-nilly and blaming it on him
Well,
their whole
no,
lives.
she's been convincing him to do it. And so because he killed the therapist, he killed his turtle, and he killed the counselor at camp.
Not to go too girl in Plainsville with this, but at a certain point, it's like, if he can't be that, like, if he's the one doing it, like, I don't know. That was a weird reference for me. I'll take that off. But it's just sort of, I'm like, you can only suggest so much.
I think it was a little gaslighty and more insidious than that. So I think she was just convincing him over a period, like only long enough for then Margot and Sebastian to be like, get out of the house. You can't keep living here.
I don't know. I feel further away from it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really, really thought Talia was going to bring Theo to Margot.
Yeah, but she brought him to Oliver instead.
The girls are boring. I mean, they're fine. They're serviceable.
Yeah.
Juliet and Calliope are serviceable. It's Margot and Talia where I'm the most interested.
I agree.
I think that whatever Netflix settled on when pitching the show, and it's the girls kissing and the two mothers like plotting in the background, that's the show for me.
Yeah,
And I think the show needs to figure that out about itself.
I agree.
And I think these other characters are fine, but I think they should be serving.
I like them for like background color and
or side
stuff.
characters.
But
yeah.
like we're spending a lot of time on characters that don't interest me a ton.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts on any of it?
I think it started and like in the middle it was a lot stronger than it ended. It was like there was that batshit episode and then like 3 medium episodes. Like really medium episodes.
I want Eleanor out of prison but also, like I said, I also want her to not have killed all those people. A couple of them I'm fine, whatever, but
I don't even mind her killing all those people. I need something else. I don't mind even the killing, but it's like the fact that she's keeping souvenirs and like and being
the
really
Dexter of it all.
That's the bizarre part.
And I want to continue this her and Apollo thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Short answer, I liked it was good. Long answer, it was bad and I hated it. I'm probably with you. It's probably not going to get another season, and I'll probably forget just blissfully. But
remember when we watched that weird vampire show?
If it were to get another season, it needs to be better. They need to really tighten.
They need to try a little harder.
And I would love for this to be a 4-season show where we're like, man, season 1's real messy, but it's
once
interesting.
You get through,
and yeah, I would love for that to be the case. You know, the 8 episodes, it is 8, 40 to hour long episodes, 40 minutes to hour long episodes is about right. I would say maybe if they had another episode or 2, this would be more evened out, but I think they would have just filled it with more crap.
So that was the thing is like, because this felt like such a weird finale, I was like, was it maybe supposed to be like a 10 or 12 episode first season? And then they just were like, you only get 8. And then instead of incorporating all of the stuff in, they were like, cool, cut it off here.
I was going to say, this gives me major part 1, part 2 vibes.
Sure. Yeah.
We had fun.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
I mostly had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Watch it if you feel like it.
Yeah, do with that what you will.
All right.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Bye.